Why do some employees work harder than others? The question is admittedly simple but important. Most of us at the same time have worked with people who did not work as hard as their abilities would indicate they could. Managers face this problem very often. What should they do? After all, as a manager, much of your personal success or failure, not to mention that of your organization, rests on the performance of your employees. Let's take a look at why are incentive plans important. Other than knowing what to do, the ultimate purpose of incentives is to motivate employees to work as hard as possible to reach certain goals by rewarding them when they do what's desired. Managers faced a host of decisions that should affect their incentive plans. For example, as a manager, you have to answer such questions as, what actions or outcomes should we base our incentives on? What types of incentives should we use? And should we focus on individual performance, team performance, or organizational performance? Reinforcement theory, goal setting, expectancy theory, and agency theory will help you understand how different incentive plans affect employee behaviors. Reinforcement theory, goal setting, expectancy theory, and agency theory will help you understand how different incentive plans affect employees' attitudes and behaviors. According to reinforcement theory, when people experience positive consequences after they do something, they're likely to repeat those actions. This, of course, includes employees when they're rewarded under a company's incentive plan for what they do. In short, reinforcement theory suggests that individuals are likely to repeat certain behaviors when they're rewarded for them than when they're not. A second theory regarding why incentives may prove to be motivating is goal-setting theory. When employees are committed to specific, challenging, but attainable goals, the goals serve as an anchor to focus their efforts on as well as the amount of effort needed. By setting challenging goals rather than simple goals, employees are encouraged to push themselves to achieve their objectives. And when individuals have specific goals rather than vague goals, they have a clear sense of the objective they're trying to realize and are more likely to focus their efforts towards that goal than on other irrelevant or less relevant activities. Another useful theory regarding the potential motivating impact of incentives is expectancy theory. According to expectancy theory, employees make decisions regarding how to act at work based on which behaviors they believe will lead to the most valued work-related rewards and outcomes. Expectancy refers to the degree to which employees believe that, if they work towards a certain performance objective, they'll be able to achieve that objective. If employees don't believe they are capable of achieving the objective, their motivation to work towards it will diminish. Instrumentality refers to whether employees believe that achieving an objective will be rewarded. Employees will be less motivated to achieve the objective when there's not a direct or consistent link between the achievement and being rewarded for it. Valiance is the degree of value employees place on different rewards. Employees will be more motivated to achieve incentives that they value than ones they don't. According to agency theory, managers can motivate their employees to act in certain ways by aligning their interests with the interests of the firm's other stakeholders, typically the company's owners. When properly designed and implemented, incentive systems reward employees and managers for acting in their best interests of the company's owners. Merit pay programs reward employees for achieving certain levels of performance over a predetermined time in the past. The logic for this approach is straightforward. Employees who perform at higher levels should receive greater rewards. With a typical merit pay increase, employees receive a compensation adjustment based on the result of their performance evaluation. The performance ratings they receive are then used to allocate merit pay increases to them. For example, employees with a low rating of 1 on a 5-point rating scale might receive a merit increase of 0% or 1%. As performance ratings increase, so too does the amount of merit increases allocated to the employee. While merit plans are commonplace, they're not without problems. First, the increases are tied directly to employees' performance ratings, and this can be a problem if the ratings are not accurate or reliable. and biases can creep into the evaluation process and threaten the accuracy of ratings. Because merit pay increases permanently raise the base salaries of employees, a company's labor costs can quickly escalate. Finally, merit pay increases are backward focused. They reward for past performance rather than provide employees incentive to work towards future goals. As a result of these drawbacks, many organizations use other types of incentive plans. Like traditional merit pay programs, lump sum bonuses are often based on an employee's level of performance. The primary difference is that lump sum bonuses are not rolled into employees' salaries, they're a one-time payment. This is important to differentiate. Compared to merit pay programs, bonuses generally cost companies less because the payouts don't increase their labor costs permanently. That is, the most notable difference is that merit pay is permanently rolled into base pay, resulting in higher levels of base salary for an employee throughout his or her tenure with an organization, even if the employee earns the payment only once. Second, the amount of the employee's compensation increases each year, even if the person continues to perform at the same level. Further, because the costs of the payment are not rolled into the base pay of employees, companies can keep their salary levels lower and instead allocate higher lump sum payments only to employees who meet the goals that have been set for them. Under a straight piecework plan, employees receive a certain rate of pay for each unit they produce. Calculating a straight piecework plan is very simple. Under a differential piecework plan, the pay employees receive per unit produced or delivered changes at certain levels of output. A key advantage of piecework plans is that they focus employees' efforts directly on the tasks that are valuable for company success. Piecework plans also very clearly tell employees what types of behaviors they need to exhibit. They know that if they perform well, they'll receive higher levels of compensation. The simplicity of these plans and the ease of computing the anticipated compensation for different levels of productivity makes them easy to communicate with employees. There are some potential problems associated with piecework plans. To be most effective, piecework systems depend on firms having clear, objective job outcomes on which to base their incentives. Unfortunately, not all jobs are so clear-cut. Standard hour plans are individual incentive plans in which employees' pay is based on how much time an employee is expected to need to complete some task. With standard hour plans, a pay rate is set based on how much time an employee is expected to need to complete a task. If employees are able to complete their tasks in less time than expected, they still receive the full rate of pay for the task performed. The primary advantage of the standard hour plan is that it encourages employees to work as quickly as possible to complete their efforts. And if they're very efficient, they're able to perform more tasks than expected in a typical day, thereby increasing their take-home pay. Another benefit of the standard hour plan is that, compared to piecework systems, they can be used to motivate employees doing more complex jobs. That is, those that involve different tasks or projects that are not necessarily standardized or simplified. At the same time, however, employees need some sort of motivation to pay attention to the quality of their work, not just the speed. It doesn't do any good for a company or a customer to have employees working very quickly but committing many mistakes. Some companies even require employees to correct their work on their own time if the quality of their work is low. Spot awards are an incentive that organizations use to encourage their employees to work towards specific outcomes. Spot awards give managers flexibility because they can be linked to a variety of employee actions at any time. Unlike merit raises or lump sum bonuses, they don't depend on performance evaluations over the course of a review period. The strength of spot awards is that they can be tied directly to specific performance dimensions of employees' jobs and are paid only when the desired performance levels are met. Given the flexibility of spot awards, it shouldn't come as a surprise that nearly 80% of companies in a recent survey said that they use short-term incentives to reward high-performing employees. Companies can use non-cash awards as incentives too. Vacations, merchandise, gift certificates, and paid time off from work are examples of some of the types of awards employees might be offered for achieving certain levels of performance. A survey conducted by the Forum for People Performance Management and Measurement at Northwestern University indicated that 66% of companies use gift certificates or gift cards and 57% use merchandise incentives. Even though programs such as these are often not associated with monetary rewards, they can still be powerful motivators. There are three primary types of sales incentive plans. The first type is a commission-based sales plan. A straight commission plan pays employees a percentage of the total sales they generate. The primary benefit of this type of system is that high-performing employees receive high payouts, and companies pay employees only for what they sell. However, employees working under these plans face a considerable amount of financial risk in terms of what they potentially earn. If a person sells nothing or very little, he or she receives little or no compensation under these plans. Another problem is that employees operating under commission-based pay systems can become so obsessed about their sales levels that they're hesitant to help their coworkers unless they're able to get a part of their commissions. This may be particularly problematic when sales environments depend on collaboration and teamwork among employees. Given these concerns, companies may replace commission-based pay systems with systems that are more team-oriented. Some companies rely on straight salary plans for their salespeople. Employees receive a set compensation regardless of their sales level. As you can imagine, employees working under these plans might not be as motivated to sell as much as they can. However, the systems do provide employees with much greater personal income security, and because these plans remove the strong incentives to focus only on sales, employees might be more willing to spend time providing quality service to customers or working with existing customers. In an attempt to capitalize on the benefits of both commission and salary incentive plans, some companies use a mixed salary commission plan. In these systems, employers receive a lower base salary, perhaps only 50 or 70% of what would be offered under a straight salary plan. The remaining percentage is commission-based. Sales incentives are critical for motivating in some organizations and roles. When a company relies on teams, it is important to foster a collective sense of identity and cooperation among the team members. One method for doing so is to provide team-based incentives. In fact, piecework plans, standard hour plans, bonuses, awards, and merit pay can all be applied to entire teams as well as individuals. If a team reaches or exceeds its targeted objective, all of its members are rewarded equally, and if a team fails to meet its goals, none of the members receive the incentive. Team incentives make the most sense when employees perform tasks that are highly interdependent on one another and when compensation and collaboration are required for the team to be successful. The primary downside of team incentives, as with other group incentive plans, is the potential for free riders. Free riders are individuals who do not work as hard as others on their teams. In other words, they're getting a free ride from their teammates in terms of the work that others are doing. When this occurs, the hardworking members are likely to feel that they're getting a bad deal, and the team will tend to become dysfunctional. One solution to this problem is to have team members evaluate contributions of each other through peer appraisals or a 360-degree performance evaluation. Gain-sharing plans are designed to increase an organization's efficiency by increasing productivity of the company's employees or lowering the firm's labor costs. Under these plans, employees earn a share of the gains of their productivity with the company. The gains may be realized in one of two ways. First, if the firm's collective productivity improves and the employees exceed some predetermined productivity level, they receive part of the monetary value of the increased productivity. Second, if employees are able to maintain the same level of productivity but do so with fewer costs, they share the gains of their increased efficiency. Two common plans that are used to realize these gains are scallion plans and impro-share plans. A scallion plan can help reduce a firm's labor costs without corresponding decreases in productivity levels. Under this plan, employees make suggestions on how to improve a firm's productivity and offer those suggestions to a review committee for its consideration for implementation. If the review committee accepts the plan and its implementation results in increased efficiency, the gains of that efficiency are shared with employees. The incentive is based on improving the relative level or ratio of the firm's labor costs to the sales value of the products it produces. By providing employees with a portion of any savings they help realize through participation and suggestions, companies are directly rewarding employees for taking steps to increase their productivity levels. A somewhat different approach to gain sharing is the impro-share plan. Impro-share plans are based on the number of hours a firm expects to take to reach a certain level of output. In essence, it's not based strictly on cost savings, but on time savings per unit of production. To implement this style of plan, companies must first establish the expected hours per unit of productivity for a group of employees. If the employees are able to achieve a set level of productivity in fewer hours than expected, they receive an equal share of the hours saved in the form of pay. Similar to the standard hour plan at the individual level, the primary impact of the impro-share plan is that it encourages employees as a group to produce a greater quantity of output. The primary advantages of gain-sharing plans are that they help foster a participatory environment in which employees are able to help improve productivity and are rewarded for making useful suggestions. An additional advantage of gain-sharing plans is their instrumentality. That is, there is a clear link between the effort employees expend and the rewards they receive. As with team incentive plans, however, one potential problem is the existence of free riders in a group. An additional potential problem is that the plans may be too complex for employees to understand. Profit-sharing plans are a group-level incentive plan in which company profits are shared with employees. Procedurally, profit sharing can be distributed to employees as cash or can be deferred. Under a deferred profit-sharing plan, the incentive money paid to an employee is put into a retirement account for the person. The plan has a tax advantage because the income the employee earns is deferred until he or she retires. And after people retire, their earnings are generally lower, so the income withdrawn from the retirement account is taxed at a lower rate. There are several other advantages to profit-sharing plans. First, profits are obviously an important component to the success of a company. Thus, implementing these plans helps keep employees focused on activities that are truly important. Moreover, by focusing employees' efforts on the performance of the entire company rather than solely on their own performance, profit sharing encourages collaboration and teamwork among employees. A final benefit is that profit sharing allows employees to be paid only when the company is doing well, a mechanism that helps maintain control over labor costs. In some instances, employees may be doing exceptionally well in their jobs and helping their coworkers excel, but their company's overall performance goal may not be realized. The point here is that the profitability of a company is influenced by a multitude of factors, many of which are outside the control of employees. With profit-sharing plans, it's conceivable that employees may not be rewarded by their incentive plans even though they've done everything they can to help their company succeed. A second potential problem with profit-sharing plans is that employees might not see the fruits of their labor for a long time. It may take a while for the efforts of employees to translate into company profits. If this occurs, the gap between when the performance occurs and when the reward is realized might be significant, thereby diminishing the motivating impact of these plans. Companies use two primary types of ownership plans: stock option plans and employee stock ownership plans. Stock option plans provide employees with the right to purchase shares of their company's stock at some established price, often its market value, for a given period of time. During that period of time, employees can exercise this right and they can subsequently sell their shares. For example, an employee might be provided with a stock option plan to buy shares at $10 per share for 5 years. If the stock price rises above this to $30 per share and the employee exercises her rights to purchase and sell the shares during the 5-year period, she would realize a gain of $20 per share. Broad-based stock option plans are plans that apply widely to a firm's employees. More than 50% of a firm's non-executive employees are included in broad-based plans. Under an employee stock ownership plan known as an ESOP, a company contributes shares of its stock to a trust set up for its employees. In a leveraged ESOP, the trust borrows against the company's future earnings and the debt is repaid. Employees receive shares of the stock held by the ESOP in employee accounts. During the course of their employment, workers are updated as to the value of their stock accounts. When they retire or leave the company, they can sell their stock to the company or on the open market. One of the major benefits of ESOPs is that employees are not taxed on the accumulated stocks until they receive their distribution upon separation from the company. Similarly, the company also receives tax deductions for the value of the stock transferred to the trust. Ownership plans can therefore increase the commitment of employees to the success of their companies. Indeed, research suggests that ESOPs are associated with higher productivity and higher survival rates in organizations. One of the primary benefits of ownership plans is that they may serve to align the long-term interests of employees with those of the company. Because they do this, employees may be more inclined to exert the necessary effort in their jobs to maximize their value-added contributions. In addition, ownership plans do not require employees to use their own savings to participate. At the same time, however, there's still a risk for employees. If employees rely solely on ESOPs as the main source of their income for retirement, their investment portfolios won't be well diversified. An additional potential problem with ownership plans is that employees might not feel that they can really make a difference or that the ultimate measure, the stock price of their firms, is within their control. A mixed-level incentive plan is an incentive plan in which employees are exposed to multiple incentive plans. The logic of using multiple incentive plans at different levels is that doing so can maximize the benefit of each plan while discouraging the downsides of each. Rewarding employees for their individual performance as well as the performance of their teams or companies encourages them to maximize their own performance, but not in a competitive manner. Employees who don't work well with their coworkers may diminish their chances of realizing one of their incentives. Greater attention from shareholders and new and proposed legislation have led companies to reconsider how they provide executive compensation. Generally, a large portion of the pay mix for executives is being tied to the performance of their firms. In fact, a 2006 survey of over 350 firms found that over 80% of CEOs' compensation was at risk or dependent on their firms meeting either their short or long-term goals. A recent review put that figure at 60 to 80% in 2016. In 2013, a study of CEO pay revealed that the vast majority of CEO pay is significantly bolstered by bonuses and stock options. Executive compensation includes the same components as other compensation packages: base salary, short and long-term incentives, and benefits and services. Short-term incentives often include rewards based on financial measures of company performance. Long-term incentives, such as stock options, are used to encourage executives to try to improve their company's performance for a long period of time. This is done by aligning their pay with the long-term success of the organization. Executive compensation differs in the magnitude and mix of these components as well as the prerequisites not offered to other employees. The prerequisites or prereqs can include the use of a company plane, a car and driver, country club memberships, and even bodyguards. A CEO's pay is typically established by a compensation committee made up of members of the firm's board of directors who are often high ranking executives from other companies. A major concern about the use of compensation committees to establish executive pay is the extent to which they can be unbiased. The members of the committee understand very well how the labor market works in terms of wages. As CEOs or vice presidents themselves, they know that market pay rates can be influenced by one company paying higher wages. Thus, these people have an incentive to provide greater rewards to the CEO of the company whose board they sit on. In other words, what goes around comes around. They know that higher wages they award will eventually pay off for themselves. It's worth mentioning that a number of CEOs are very aware of this controversial nature of their pay relative to their workers and have made adjustments to their pay in response. In fact, a number of high profile CEOs have sacrificed their salaries in favor of performance based pay.